Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. So I've decided to come to you all with a little bit of change of scenery. So I'm actually just sitting in my backyard, as you can see, trying to get a little suntan. But the first topic of how to be a self-published writer is just coming up with the content. And the reason why I wanted to come outside was because you don't really find out, I guess, what your passion is until you're in a space where you're not bothered by anyone, you're completely relaxed, and you just have time to think. Normally, my inspiration or my thoughts come when I'm in the shower, when I'm driving home in traffic, and at night when I'm getting ready to go to sleep. So I don't want you all to I guess focus too much on having like the perfect office set up, or things have to be going perfectly right in your life to come up with the content for your book, because you absolutely don't. I think one of the best ways to come up with content is personal experience, something that you've actually gone through and that no one else can tell you about. That to me is the easiest type of content. If you're thinking about doing like novelty books, I would still, to me, base it kind of off my personal life and just change the names, or just use someone else's experience that you've maybe heard, and do things that way. I feel like that's the easiest way to come up with content. Plus, it's a little less time consuming. Now, if you're doing a book that has a lot of research, or if you're trying to tell somebody how to do something that you haven't necessarily done yourself and it's going to take a lot of time, to me, that can be very stressful. Just doing a lot of the research. I didn't have a lot of research in my book. I normally just used articles and quoted the articles, but to me, that can take up a lot of your time, and I don't want you all to worry either about how many pages you have to have. Don't even worry about that. Just write. Just do what you can. Don't focus on the title, the names of the chapters, or anything like that. Literally, just write. All of that stuff, as far as the structure of the book, will come later once you know the story that you want to write. What I personally recommend is to write down what you want to say in the beginning, how you want to transition into the next part of the book, and then the next part, and then the next part, and then what you want to end with, and just go based off of that. If you're doing like a personal memoir, then have a start and then a finish. Like, do you want to start when you were at the age of 2, or do you want to start when you were in high school, and when do you want to finish? And that will kind of guide where you want to go. And then as far as how you want to break down each segment, you can go based off of each experience, or by the year, or based off the generality of it. So I'm going to tell you that I do plan on writing another book, probably within the next 5 years or so. It's going to be about relationships and younger people. And right now, I'm literally just recording all the conversations that I have with people regarding relationships. And that's all I'm doing. I do write down stuff a lot, like in my notebook. If something comes in my mind while I'm at work or wherever I'm at, I'll stop and I'll put it in the notes into my phone, or I will just write it down like on a piece of paper. And they have absolutely no correlation to each other. They're all basically different, but they're all about relationships. So that right there was kind of like my go-to. And I'm still writing, and I don't put a deadline on myself, just because I want everything to be as natural and as smooth as possible, and I want to make sure that I say everything that I want to say. So that is my tip to you as far as writing. Okay, so now going into the title and picking the structure for your book. One of the things that you want to do with your title is make sure that it grabs people's attention. You don't want to just say autobiography of, your name, or the story of how, nothing like boring or generic. So one of the things that I did, and I find that's really helpful, is I did a survey on surveymonkey.com, and I literally uploaded all of my email contacts into SurveyMonkey, and I sent out this mass email and asked people what title they like best. It was going to be Past the B.S. was one of them that I came up with on a whim. Then it was Life Gives You Sugar with No Lemons, and I forgot what the other one was. And then the subtitle was going to be Post-Grad Experience for People of Color. That was the original names. I can't think of the third one. I have to look back and find it. I also did the same poll on Instagram. Is that a lizard? Oh my gosh, y'all. This is why I really don't do outdoors, but it's so pretty outside and it feels great. So I decided to just have a change of scenery. Is this something in my teeth? Oh my God. Oh, y'all. That ain't cute. Ugh. Okay. Anywho. So that's how I picked the title. I also did another survey on my Instagram, and everybody loved Past the B.S. like by a landslide. And I don't know how I came up with that. It just kind of just came to me out of nowhere, and I started looking at titles for the book roughly when I was about halfway done with it, and that's because I mentioned something in my book about life giving you lemons without lemonade. Hi, Mommy. My mom is here. But I don't know how I came up with that, to be 100% honest, but everybody loved it. And my subtitle I actually came up with literally a couple months ago, like when I was almost finished with the book, and my best friend kind of gave me that idea. He was like, yeah, you know, something was about you going from college to corporate America. And I was like, oh snap, college to corporate America. That way I don't lose a lot of people by just narrowing it down straight off the bat to people of color. I wanted people to think from the cover that my book was for everybody, when it's really more so for people of color. So that's something to think about. And instead of doing chapters, I didn't feel like I had enough content really to do chapters. So I did phases, like phase 1, phase 2. Phase 1 was when I was in college transitioning home. Phase 2 was when I started working. Phase 3 was kind of like the lessons learned. Phase 4 was, really overall just general lessons and what I wanted to give, advice that I wanted to give to others. And then phase 5 was word of advice from other people. So that's how I broke mine down, but that literally didn't come until later. Like, I wrote my book into segments, so I would go back and like, oh, I don't think this one works well in this section, so I'm gonna move it over here. And that's how I did it, and it worked perfectly fine for me. But if you're doing like a novel, then it is better to have an outline and then write based off of that outline, because you have to make sure that the story flows, right? But when it's your personal life, the story is already in order, so you just go based off of that. So that's the most helpful advice that I can give as far as building your structure of the book, coming up with the title. I've had a lot of people ask me, well, how do I do that, blah, blah, blah. And I just be like, honestly, don't even worry about it, boo. It's not, it shouldn't be your number one concern in the very beginning. The number one concern should be your story, and just making sure that you start a thought and that you complete that thought. So hopefully all that was helpful. For series 1, short, sweet, straight to the point, I will be doing a blog post that has a little bit more in detail, and that will also have links attached to it as well. And this will be all throughout the series. That way you all can see exactly who edited my book, who did the cover, all that kind of stuff. I'll put that on my blog and post that link below. But hopefully you all enjoyed. I am burning up. Oh my God, I'm really hot, but I do know that your girl got a little bit of a suntan, so I'm super happy. Just because fall is here doesn't mean that I can't get some more color, okay? But love you all. Hopefully this was a little helpful, and please comment below if you have any questions, and I'll be sure to answer.